The blood of Dawnwalker's best feature might be that it sometimes takes choices away from you. In this story-driven action RPG, you play a vampire. But even the most good guy vampire ever still has an insatiable hunger for human blood. Sometimes in Dawnwalker, that hunger can get the best of you, even if you're actively trying to resist it.
What is this? Fireflies!
Dawnwalker is a game all about making you live with the consequences. I recently played about 4 hours of The Blood of Dawnwalker, and what I liked most was how much developer Rebel Wolves leans into the possibility of player failure in the game. Well, failure isn't really the word for it. Sometimes people die whether you mean them to or not, but ultimately, that's part of the story you're building, and for Coen, your half-undead protagonist, life goes on. Take, for instance, a story quest in Dawnwalker's prologue, which sets up just how nasty things have become for Coen and his fellow humans in 14th century Europe. As the Black Death swept through the valley where you live, a group of powerful vampires called Valkyrie offered a reprieve. The humans are given the vampires' healing blood in return for their total fealty. The quest has you brewing up a potion for your ailing mother, who is so disengaged from reality that Coen and his father are struggling to get her to eat. You need her to be lucid because tonight is the Blood Mass, when the vampires show up to exact their tithe of blood from the villagers. If your mother is out of it during the Mass, the vampires will notice, and they don't leave people they perceive as weak to live for long. So head to the local herbalist, Anka, to get something that will help Mom keep it together long enough to get through the Mass. Anka tells you to mix 3 spoonfuls of the powder she gives you into water that is hot but not boiling. But a storm hits and a bunch of other things happen. When you finally get back to your mother, you have to mix up the concoction. I remembered Anka's recipe, but several of the other people I spoke with at the preview did not. During my story's take on the Blood Mass, Coen's mother lived through the event. In the games played by those other folks, she drew the vampires' attention and didn't fare so well. Consequences are also born out of its brilliantly executed time mechanic, which forces you to think carefully about what actions you take and when. You start Dawnwalker's prologue in the morning before the Blood Mass and have several in-game hours at your disposal. What you do with that time is up to you. There are side quests you can undertake all over the place. Time advances when you take on quests, not when you're running around between them. And you're told how long each task will take, so you can make decisions about what sounds important and what maybe doesn't. But crucially, you can't do everything. Time is also advanced when you level Coen up to unlock new skills and perks in the game's extensive skill tree, which means you might have to choose between leveling up or completing a quest, or risk an unpleasant outcome to power yourself up. In another prologue quest, you're tasked by a farmer with tracking down his brother, Lazar, who you'll discover has fallen into a cave. Hidden in the cave is also an undead mini-boss creature. Even if you know what waits for you, there's a choice to make. Level up for the fight and risk Lazar dying before you arrive, or take on the creature at a lower level. But Dawnwalker's coolest demonstration of narrative branching and consequences come later in the prologue, after Coen undergoes his vampire transformation. It happens when a group of villagers head to a local silver mine to gather metal they can turn into weapons to mount a resistance to Valkyrie rule. The Valkyries show up in force, kill most of the rebels, and infect Coen. You fight your way out of the mine using your cool new vampire powers, which include deadly claws and enhanced speed. Combat in Blood of Dawnwalker has you blocking, parrying, and dodging incoming attacks, then striking when there's an opening. How much blocking and attacking you do is determined by a stamina gauge that refills over time. Timing for parrying and dodging is important, with windows that give you time-slowed, perfect versions that let you counterattack and which don't cost stamina. You can also set the game's combat to be directional to experience the challenge as its developers intended, which requires you press the right analog stick in the direction a blow is approaching from to block it, and use the direction to dictate how you'll swing your sword to try to find openings in an opponent's defense. Once you get the hang of it, the Blood of Dawnwalker's directional combat system is intuitive, but fights are still tough, especially early on, since enemies hit pretty hard. In vampire form, Coen can heal himself by drinking blood, and you can do that with a special attack that has him quickly appear behind an opponent and sink his teeth into their neck. But the ability has a fairly long cooldown, so you can't rely on it to survive. After you escape the mine, you can head to a burning building up on a hill, where Vladimir, Coen's best friend and the leader of the rebels, fled in the confusion. The Valkyrie's soldiers have him trapped there, and if you kill them, Coen will try to convince his friend that it's safe to come out, in spite of Coen's vampire transformation. After a few dialogue choices, I managed to talk Vladimir out of the burning building, but the battle with the two tough soldiers had left me desperately weak. Crucially, Coen's health bar is also his hunger level, and that bar is split into two main chunks. If your health is over the middle line that separates them, your hunger is under control. If it's under it, Coen starts to struggle. In conversations in which you're hungry, a new option appears when you have choices. And the hungrier you are, the more the other choices on the menu move and flicker, sometimes disappearing or switching positions with each other. Give into the hunger might suddenly flash from the third position on the list to the first, catching you off guard when you're trying to choose something else. But if you're hungry enough, the choice can disappear altogether. I never had a chance to mess up picking a response to Vladimir. The hunger overtook Coen and he attacked and bit the man, murdering him before I could do anything about it. Whoops. It was a great moment where my fighting ability conspired with my vampire nature to change the outcome of a story beat. This won't happen all the time. The developers told me they don't want to punish players for being bad at combat by making them rage out in conversations. So instead, you'll have the ability to initiate conversations yourself, which gives you time to maybe hunt around the area for a few small animals you can drain to sate your bloodlust. But managing your hunger is important, lest you find yourself losing control. All in all, it seems like a lot of people can die in the Blood of Dawnwalker as a result of choices you make, actions you take, and unforeseen consequences. The last 2 hours or so that I played took place after the somewhat more linear prologue, opening up into Dawnwalker's open world, where you're free to explore and address problems as you like. Your main goal is to rescue Coen's family from the castle where the Valkyrie are keeping them, but you only have 30 in-game days to do so. The general idea is to use the time to gather allies who can help Coen in that final assault. Dawnwalker maintains its narrative freedom by working on a framework that gives you the smaller goals of dealing with each Valkyrie lieutenant before you go for the castle, in a system that seems reminiscent of Shadow of Mordor, that divides the story into smaller, more discrete pieces. This is how the Blood of Dawnwalker allows you to get so many people killed. If you fail a quest or accidentally eat your best friend, it might affect how you go about attacking the castle, but it doesn't change the fact that you eventually will. If you eat the wrong guy and it closes off your ability to complete a quest, you just move on to the next one, or maybe to another approach to that quest. A lot of quests can be pretty malleable, and how you approach them changes depending on when you approach them. Coen isn't just a normal vampire thanks to some supernatural shenanigans. He reverts to his human form during the day and only becomes a vampire at night. That gives you options for how you take on problems. As a vampire, you might infiltrate a stronghold by using your powers to climb a wall or teleport to a window, but you'll be attacked on sight. As a human, you can lie or use guile to get what you want, or help people to get them on your side. Functionally, the human-vampire dichotomy means that the Dawnwalker experience balances a lot of different elements. Human Coen fights with a sword and unlocks a different set of abilities to use in battle. You also can't heal by drinking blood during the day, which means you have to rely on items like food if you get into trouble. But more interestingly, the balance of human and vampire means that just because a quest went badly for vampire Coen, that doesn't mean human Coen can't pick up the pieces, or vice versa. Some actions and deaths will lock out pathways and quests, but not all the time. The developers said they don't want players to necessarily feel punished for their choices. So while you might kill someone who was important to a certain quest, there are often other paths you can discover that might let you complete it.
No, we haven't got time.
More than anything, my The Dawn of Bloodwalker experience was of consequences, both foreseen and unforeseen. From which quests to pursue, to when to level up, to whether you're at risk of eating someone important. It's a game that's constantly giving you choices to make, and in the moment, a lot of them feel like they might be life and death.
Collect me? Oh, I don't think so.
The Blood of Dawnwalker releases on September 2nd on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC.
God, all this blood.